Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of
Startup Chat.
I'm Afshindus.
I'm Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. So, Mo, last time we talked, again in the context of a startup, about how to tell a story, how to identify a problem, how to quantify it,
Mm-hmm.
how you talk about the solution, how you quantify that. How do you segment your market? Look at SAM, TAM, SOM, and all that kind of stuff. What are the major pitfalls that usually happens when you're doing market sizing?
Yes.
And did we talk about anything else?
Business model pricing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we did touch on business model, like how people make money.
Yes.
Pricing, we didn't dig deep into it, but
No.
what I wanted to do was to answer a very typical question
Mm-hmm.
that might come up when you present to investors. Now, surprisingly, even sophisticated investors might ask this question. Some do. How do I know somebody else is not going to come and do exactly what you do better, and so you'd go bankrupt? Well,
The
that's a
trickiest
valid
one.
question, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like,
Valid and at the same time a stupid question.
well, okay, I beg to differ here because
Okay.
no question is stupid. Unless you're
Yeah.
reading Mad Magazine, they had those lists of
Yeah.
stupid questions like, "Are you wearing glasses?" Like,
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
stupid
Yeah.
question, right? But I think even every question that might be a little bit questionable
Mm-hmm.
has an ounce of truth in it. So I wouldn't say the question's stupid. I would say the question's probably a question that's not framed properly.
Yes, maybe.
So the framing around that question, I think, most preferably should be something like, what is your sustained advantage over the competitors?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a competitive advantage. It has to be a sustained competitive advantage. And how do you articulate that?
Yes.
Now, that question asks the exact same thing as the previous one,
Yeah.
but it asks it in a different light.
Yes.
It's saying, hey, you need to differentiate yourself from the marketplace, and you need to keep that differentiation. And so, what is that? So, if somebody asks you that question, how
Mm-hmm.
would you respond?
So, competitive advantage. Sometimes it can be your technology,
Okay.
the approach to solve a problem,
Okay.
simplicity.
Okay.
I'm just naming subjects. You
Yeah.
can dig deep in each
Yeah.
of them. Maybe go to market.
Okay.
I think which is one of the most important one.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a product that is
Okay.
not very high tech,
Yes.
but you have a good go to market strategy.
Yes.
And it opens the door for you.
Yeah. So again, we don't want to talk scientific, right? But sometimes it just itches to come out. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have something called the VRIO analysis,
What
which
that?
is how much value do you add to your customers? The V stands for value.
Okay.
And then there's RIO, and it is how rare is what you're offering, is the R. Is it something that's popular, everybody's using, whatever, or is it something really rare that you can claim fame to it? And then the I is how imitable is it? How easy can others imitate it?
Yes.
And the O is, do you have the organizational capacity to pull it off? And so if the answer to all four VRIO would be yes, 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 at the end of the day, you have a sustained competitive advantage.
Question.
Yes.
How rare is good when you are talking about business idea?
Yeah.
If you have something that is really rare in the market,
Yeah.
is it something good or bad?
Well, that's a very good question, but it demands its own session.
Okay.
So if it's extremely rare in every angle, from every angle, it could be a blue ocean product,
Mm-hmm.
something that the need didn't exist in the past, but you're creating the need for it.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes there's a strategy around, do you want to be the first one who does that, or do you want somebody to go into the market, fail, come back, and then you're the second one who's
Mm-hmm.
learned the lessons from the
Yeah.
first one? But what if that first one doesn't fail and succeeds? Then they have a huge market share. You need to
Yes.
really run to catch up with it. So all these become a strategy question. Going back
Okay.
to our preliminary question
Yes.
of how do I know somebody else isn't going to do what you do better? Or in other words, what's your sustained competitive advantage?
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, we can say yes, people might want to enter this market, or they probably are trying to enter a market. You have to acknowledge that this can happen, right? So you don't want to say no. It's very naive for you to say no. Nobody can ever do this ever, no
Yeah.
matter what, up and down, sideways, whatever, right? Even you look at drug companies that patent the heck out of a drug, and then another similar drug comes in and beats them at the same
Yeah.
game, right? So you can't absolutely claim proprietorship and at the same time exclusivity together on a market because of a product that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So the chances are somebody might enter, yes. But what are we doing to make sure that we can capture enough market share while
Mm-hmm.
preventing the others to go after the same market as we are at the same time? One of the ideas that comes up is the idea of intellectual property or IP.
IP. Yeah.
So we have different forms of IP, of course. We have provisional patents, we have PCTs, we have other types of patents, we have trademarks, we have trade secrets. All of those are parts of intellectual property. And just as you said, sometimes it's some of the assets that we have. It's the knowledge that's
Mm-hmm.
rare and nobody else has. Sometimes it's deep tech. Like we've developed the technology over the years for 4 or 5 years, and that technology is so good and is so deeply developed that for somebody else to want to do the same thing takes them another 4 or 5 years,
Yes.
or maybe they can compress it into 2 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not immediately let's hit the same market, right? And like you said, sometimes it's your team, and it could be at times access to resources. For example, you have exclusivity on a resource.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, and I'm just simplifying this,
Okay.
let's say you have a dairy shop and you're making
Yeah.
cheese and yogurt, and the person who owns the production of milk in your town is your cousin. And so there's no other dairy yogurt company who might
Yeah.
be able to compete with you in that vicinity, and it would be costlier for them to bring the milk from elsewhere to process and get into the market, right? And
Yes.
that's a rough example. It's
Yes.
overly simplified, but access to resources can be a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So usually, when we talk about a startup, I think we should be ready to answer that question. And how we answer that question should be like every other question. It should be as truthful, as real as we can, but we absolutely need to acknowledge the validity of the question before we answer it.
Yes.
That yes, this could happen, like it's happened to everybody else in the marketplace. Look at Samsung and iPhone and all these other Google phone right now coming out and all that, right? But at the same time that it could happen, we've taken some steps in order to make sure that we might have a competitive advantage over the others.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can prove that it's a sustained competitive advantage, then we are gold,
Yes.
right? So that question sometimes hits me hard when I'm talking to people about the startups, but it makes me think that truly, what is it that differentiates us from everybody else? And can we sustain that differentiation for long term?
So it's combination of your team, your knowledge, your IP, and you cannot measure it by one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I have IP on this technology, and I know it's protected.
Yeah.
but it's not the thing that you can rely on.
Yeah, that's true. IPs are infringed upon.
Mm-hmm.
People come up with better IPs, right? We
Yes.
don't have one company that produces flat TVs. There are a bunch of companies, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure somebody has certain IPs on that. So I agree. I agree. IP is important. It can only do so much, but it's a combination of everything that comes together that could give you a huge competitive
Mm-hmm.
advantage.
And also, maybe there is a better way to uh, using a screen instead of having these TVs.
Yeah.
But they don't have the team, they don't have the resource, so there is no competitive advantage for them, and they are just in the shelves.
Yeah. Or, you know, sometimes the competitive advantage could be as simple as huge volume of product hitting the market and being the first to market.
Mm-hmm.
Like saying, I want to capture this market. I remember when we had those fidgets. Remember, like we used to hold it with two fingers and make it
Yeah.
spin.
Yeah.
And anywhere you looked around, everybody had one of
Everyone,
those
yeah.
spinning it around.
It helps me a lot, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And right now I don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
But that first company that hit the market, I remember it used to sell the fidgets online for like $20. And then eventually everybody else flooded the market. The price came all the way down to $1.
Yeah.
But that first company actually made it big, right?
Yes.
So there are a lot of examples we can use, but we need to think about this question. It's a valid question when you're pitching to someone.
And how we can sustain a product. You made a good example, but in this product they couldn't sustain their product and their exclusivity.
Yeah, of course not. So looking at sustained competitive advantages, it's a dynamic, ever evolving approach to marketing your product
Mm-hmm.
because even patents have a deadline,
Yes.
right? But I think it's hard to create a sustained competitive advantage unless you have a lot of resources and you keep developing more and more intellectual property
Mm-hmm.
in order to differentiate yourself continuously from the others, right? Uh, you know, there are a lot of examples we can talk about. For example, Uber
Mm-hmm.
did not have a sustained competitive advantage because Lyft came in there,
Yeah.
started competing, and in every country you have their own version of Uber,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
But it had enough resources to be able to fight for that market share and to try to capture as much market share as they can all across the world. And now they have even made their apps available for other companies. For example, you want to ride a bike, use your Uber to open it up.
Mm-hmm.
Or you want to go and get a car from side of the street, the shared cars, use your Uber to open it up, right? You want a scooter, Uber will work on that too. So there's more and more market share that Uber is acquiring because they have the resources to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And so even though originally they were first to market, they did really great, but they didn't have a sustained competitive advantage. They're continuously fighting for that competitive
Yes.
advantage. And so be prepared for that question if it
Yeah.
ever comes up with your investors or while you're pitching to someone, because it might seem like a non-valid question, but if framed properly, is absolutely an amazing question for anybody to ask when they're listening to a pitch. And the person who gives the pitch needs to be prepared to respond to it.
And if you can answer properly to this question, you will be success.
Of course, one of the elements of success.
Yeah.
Know yourself, know your strengths, know your competitive advantages. And if there's sustained competitive advantages, you're gold. So,
Perfect.
is that it, or should we
I think
continue?
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching, for listening to us, and we truly appreciate you being with us. Please do like us and follow us if you wish. Like always, we'd love to have your comments and we'd love to have your input into what we're doing. We hold non-scientific friendly chats and
Thanks.
share our experiences, and we truly hope that you're enjoying it. If you have any questions or any subjects you want us to talk about, please do put it in the comments. And that's it for me. Have a great day.
See you.